Oh, here we are. That catchy little tune. It means we're back. At NiteLife Exchanges, I'm Scott Barbarino, and this is NiteLife Exchanges, where we talk about all things nightlife regarding cabaret and piano bars and entertainment in general. And I can't do these alone, so I am going to now do the shout out for my co host, Tony Javid. And so, Tony, come on.
Good evening, Scott.
There's the come on. There's Tony. Hi, Tony.
Hi. Are you
Tony.
done coming on to me? That's all I want to know.
No.
I
Tony
got a
is
plan.
Tony. You're a happily married man, and I'm a happily single man. It's all good.
It's
So,
all good.
Tony, another week at NiteLife Exchanges. It's been all kinds of stuff going on in the world, but you know what? NiteLife is doing okay,
Mm-hmm.
and we are delivering on our service to humanity by creating music and joy and trying to make other things that aren't so good a little, just to blurt it out a little bit. So, firstly, I want
Take
to
a
just
break.
let everybody know that I have been reading. Yes, I do read, and that I've been reading this book, which is Leading Lady. It's Charles Bush's book, and it's the book, A Memoir of a Most Unusual Boy, and boy was he, and
Still
is
is.
still, and yep, he is, and I'm almost at the end of it, and I'm slowing down because I don't want to finish it. So it's a really good one, folks.
Savor it.
Go to Amazon.com and you can buy it there, or if there happens to be a brick and mortar in your neighborhood, mortar. That's how we say it in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Mortar.
more to them.
Or the brick and
Definitely.
mortar.
Give them your
Never said
business.
then we never called it anything brick and mortar. It was cement. So that's this book. And then also, I just wanted to let you know, Tony, I went to an amazing show the other night at Chelsea Table and Stages, and it was a young girl by the name of Megan Dwinell, and she was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Her energy level is unparalleled. I haven't seen anything like it, honestly, in a long time. And I've seen, I mean, I'm talking about not even just cabaret. I'm talking about performances, like people like, Bette Midler in the day of doing the Detour and doing the Clams on the Half Shell at Radio City, and Prince in a
Yeah.
concert, and somebody like Patti LaBelle, who was that blew me away with the amount of energy that Patti LaBelle would have on a stage, and still does, by the way. She still
Oh,
performs,
yes.
but this young lady is one not to miss. So keep
Well,
an eye
that is
out
high
on her.
praise, Scott.
Yeah, and if you want to see her before she's in her next show, you can visit her because she's actually a Starduster at Ellen's Stardust Dine, and she sings one song at a time, and they're all incredible. But they've been like, I mean, this was like at Chelsea Table and Stage, it was like one song, and then the next song, and then the next. Like, what a build! Anyway, so let's get back to NiteLife Exchanges and one of my favorite people
I
in
know it.
the cabaret piano bar world, as well as where she's got both feet in the Broadway world as well. She
Absolutely.
has done incredible things. The gift of the love that she has bestowed on everybody in this business because she loves entertainment and she loves supporting it. It's Jamie deRoy, and I've known her for quite some time, and she's got a new show coming up, another one of her in her series that's been going on for a long time, Jamie deRoy and Friends. But so let's watch the opener for Jamie deRoy and Friends, and then we're going to be speaking with Jamie deRoy about this show coming up at Birdland. There she is.
There she is.
Hi, Jamie deRoy. Jamie deRoy, what a thrill to have you here with us today because I know that you're one of the busiest people in this business. in all these businesses that you're doing. And I want to thank you for taking the time with us. And I also want to thank you for that opener. You know, folks, you can see in that opener all of the Broadway shows in the theaters that are part of the Broadway action, and Jamie's a part of all that. But note that she did make sure to include places like Don't Tell Mama and 54 Below, never leaving the cabaret world behind, always pulling us in. So, hi, Jamie.
I can never leave the cabaret world behind because it's where I came from.
Yeah,
and actually night clubs before they were called cabarets. Right. You know, when it was I started at the Living Room and places like that. Nobody called them a cabaret in those days.
Yeah, and you started working with people like Ricky Ritzel, or people that people know from the day, your musical accompanists, and you know, the Living Room, that was on the east side, right, Jamie?
Yes, 49th and 2nd.
Yeah.
It was a great room. I mean, I remember seeing Arthur Prysock there and Felicia Sanders. It was in the days of, I would say, the glory days of nightclubs, where you could be at dinner and somebody would say, "What shall we do?" And
Right.
"Oh, why don't we go to the living room? Who's there?" I don't know. Let's go. Because you would know that it would be a great act. And you know, shows were later then too.
Right.
New York was later then.
He was.
Yeah. Reno Sweeney's is another one of those.
Oh, I love Reno Sweeney.
Just pop into. Definitely. Now you do have to look before you go, because there's a lot of mixing up of a lot of things going on. But yeah, those days it was, and it would be getting together for cocktails, then going to see maybe a Broadway show, then going out and having dinner after the Broadway show, and then maybe if you were still ready to roll, you'd go to a late night nightclub or cabaret show, and you know, a full evening's worth of going.
Absolutely. People stayed out later, and I don't know. I mean, and nobody was ever afraid to go out to dinner after the theater. I mean, some people still do it, and a lot of times if it's a 7:00 show, it's a lot easier.
Right.
But you know, yeah, I don't remember eating dinner before theater very often.
Right. Something you did after. And so, Jamie, let's talk about the most important show right now. It's happening right off of Broadway at Birdland, and it's one of your shows coming up, Jamie deRoy and Friends. Something that you've been doing you've got a lot of friends, for sure.
Thanks. Well, I've been doing these shows for 33 years. The live shows have gotten a little less than they used to be. And my TV show is like every other week. I used to do it every week. I don't know how. I go crazy doing it every other week at this point. But I'm very excited about this. First of all, we've been doing them in the last couple years as benefits for what was the Actors Fund, which has just recently changed its name to the Entertainment Community Fund.
Right.
They do all the same things, but they want everyone to know that everyone is included. So no matter what side of the lights you're working on, or what area of entertainment, that you will be taken care of by this group. And they are such a good group, led by the incredible Joseph Benincasa. I've never seen anybody work so hard and talk about busy. And he crisscrosses the country. I mean, he's just amazing. But our guests this time, I'm very excited about, because it's Tony Danza, it's Nikki M. James from Book of Mormon, Daisy Joplin, who's an internationally known violinist, Nicholas King and Seth Sykes, who are two incredible singers who have joined forces recently to do shows that are their duet shows. They each have their own single shows too, but the duet show is, you know, what we're doing. And also a wonderful comedian, Stephen Scott, who I have known through the years, and he's been on my show many, many times. He travels the world a lot. So I was very happy to get him in town, that we could have him take part in this evening, you know. And it's at Birdland on October 23rd at 7:00.
And, you know, that's one of the things, too, about your shows, is they're really variety shows. Your show, you have all different styles of performers. And so when you're going to see Jamie deRoy, you know, you're going to get a comedian, You generally have a variety of people there. Jamie, you did a lot of work in the comedy clubs as well over the years when you were still performing.
Yeah, over the year. Well, I used to, as a girl singer when I started, I would open for comics. So I've always had a real fondness for comics. But I used to visit. Well, I used to perform in between the comics at Catch a Rising Star in those days, and every once in a while too. In the old days of the improv, the original improv, which was just an amazing place, that birthed so many people like Robert Klein, and
Right.
I mean, we saw Richard Pryor there. We did all kinds of improvs and stuff. I was in an improv group before the Ace Trucking Company was formed. Unfortunately, our group broke up before that, and nobody bothered to call me then. But improv is one of my favorite things to do. I mean, when I was in this movie, Goodfellas, for Martin Scorsese, I originally had a role that I had auditioned for and learned the lines, was outfitted for a costume, everything. And it was like I think April 1989. And I was scheduled for whatever day of the week, maybe a Tuesday. And Tuesday went into Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday, finally, it might have even started the week before. Every day I was canceled. It was a day player.
Mm-hmm.
And that means you only get paid the day you play. So
Right.
I called them up. I said, listen, I'm supposed to be on a plane on Friday to go to the Cannes Film Festival. You can't keep canceling me like this. I don't know what to do. Well, we're going to probably have to, replace you. And I said, well, then maybe that's what you should do. I go on the trip. I said to Arthur Hiller, who was a director who's on the trip, I said, probably just did the stupidest thing in my career to walk away from a Martin Scorsese film. Anyway, he said, look, you have to live your life. I come back, I get a phone call. Scorsese wants to see you on the set. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to yell at me. And it wasn't my fault. And I go downtown. He says to me, can you ad lib? I said, can I ad lib? I do that better than remembering lines. So they gave me a role. My original role was cut out of the film, and I'm in the film.
Oh, wow.
So to this day, I get residuals. I mean, it's a small part, but it's just fun to be part of it,
Nice
Oh,
work.
yeah.
Jamie, that's you're still doing the ad libbing every time that you're doing one of your Jamie DeRoy and Friends. I mean, I saw you and Robert Klein, and there you are on. This was a couple of months back. He was one of your guests at one of these shows. And how do you got to be ready to roll with that. You have to be ready to, you have Robert Klein on there. He's not working from a script. He's out there thinking.
Oh, absolutely. And he, that was like a year ago, believe it or not. Time has such a different thing these days. But yeah, and he came on with the mask, and he couldn't, like mumbling, but then he kept trying to get up on the piano. I mean, it was one of the funniest things that I have ever seen. And he is just so quick on his feet. I was there at the Improv the night he was signed to Rollins and Joffe, and his career just took off. I mean, and he was already in a Broadway show at that point,
right,
in Golden Apple. But I mean, I just watched his comedy career just, skyrocket. It's very exciting. Same thing, in a different way. But Peter Sincotti, I went to see him the other night at Cafe Carlisle. He came to see me when he was like 15. And I started, having him as a guest. I brought him into a recording studio and recorded something for him. The guy, first of all, he's grown up. So he's such a great looking guy. He's such a great person. He's now engaged. He travels the world. He is the most incredible performer that I know. I mean, playing the piano and singing and
writing his own
and
stuff.
writing songs. Yep.
Which is so yeah, of course, Jamie started in the business when she was 12. So she's seen all of these folks come along in their careers and stuff. Actually, what a brilliant time to be in this business, because you did see between the late 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, all of the incredible people. And we're talking about this with James Beeman on a previous show. And, we still had a lot of those people that were the people that made how the black and white films and the great performances of Hollywood in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. And they were still around when we came into the cabaret rooms, and a lot of them came and performed, and did cabaret shows. So I'm sure you had your groups that you've met. I know Eartha Kitt was somebody that we used to really enjoy going out to see. Of all of these years, Jamie, of experience and all, if you could see if you could go back and see a performer, and I've got one or two of them, and we have to take Julie Wilson off of that because everybody would love to be able to see Julie Wilson again perform. But give me another one out of there that you said if you could see them perform.
I had a crazy night years ago when I cut school. I was in college and came to New York. It was 1963, the fall of 63. And I stayed with a friend, and she recommended that I go to the bitter end. And I saw Jim, Jake, and Joan. Jim became a comedy writer. Jake became Jake Holmes, a wonderful singer-songwriter and jingle writer. And Joan was Joan Rivers. And the big three, which was Cass Elliot, I think Denny Dougherty. I mean, this group of three. And Cass Elliot, they became the Mamas and the Papas.
Oh my gosh.
Now my friend said to me, "Do me a favor, go across the street and pick up my bar stool." We left it at the Cafe A Go-Go. So I went in. I go, "Hi, I'm here to pick up Nancy Pretty's bar stool." And he's like, "Oh my God, well, okay. You can come in and watch the show, but right now Lenny Bruce is sitting on it. I am not going to interrupt him."
Wow.
And I got to see Lenny Bruce because of picking up a bar stool as a favor to somebody. I mean, that's somebody I would have liked to have seen more of,
Right.
But there were just so many people. I mean, I got to see Robin Williams, him grow and then, move into movie career and everything else. But there were just so many of these people that really just blossomed, and their careers blossomed, and they blossomed as people. It was great, really, really great. And there's so many of them. Remember the Mac ASCAP Songwriter Showcases?
Right.
We used to highlight up and coming songwriters, and those people went on to write Dear Evan Hansen, Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder,
Yeah.
Parade. I mean, all of these things. These were really great young writers. And then I remember at one point I said, "Why don't we throw in a comic or two just to break it up?" And then we started with all the comics. So it's really been fun.
You've done incredible. I mean, look, it's an incredible, a lot of them are, or if not all, things are available right on, people can go back and watch some of the older shows and see some of these performers, but it's just a matter of how many people you helped along in the business by giving them opportunities to be on your show or in for instance, an ASCAP workshop when you were president of MAC and working with MAC. These things are the things that are really appreciated because that's opportunities that they got. And then on top of that, you, by knowing and keeping your finger really on the pulse of what happens on Broadway and in Broadway, have actually been very influential in helping to raise financial support for Broadway shows and help things get up. And you've got a nice track record, by the way, Jamie. And
thank you.
so
Thank you for that.
Good list of that. And, just keep it organized,
I mean, I feel privileged to be able to, join some of these teams that that present these works, because I don't create them by any stretch. I get on board later, but it's been a joy because so many of them, and even Stephen Lutvak's Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder won a Tony Award, and I knew him from Cabaret. So
Great
many
show.
of them they're very, I mean, it's very special. And Parade recently last year won a Tony, and that's Jason Robert Brown, which we watched his career flourish through the cabaret scene with I Want the Sun and the Moon and the Stars. Oh my God, Jessica Melansky was introduced to us because of that song. it's exciting. It's exciting stuff.
Been a great, yeah. There's been people don't realize how many people have learned enough of, learn that craft and learn things through the cabaret experience that they piano bar and cabaret that they then brought to the next levels of where they went. Billy Porter is another example of
Oh
something
yeah.
that's definitely
And when I
cabaret.
look back, and even now, I mean, my father, when I was working at the Monkey Bar, 1981 to 82, my father invested in the original Merrily We Roll Along. And I had to go to California, so I couldn't go to the opening. I thought I'd see it when I came back. By the time I came back from California, it was gone. But now I'm a co-producer on Merrily We Roll Along. And this version, directed by Maria Friedman, was stellar. And the cast is incredible. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe and Lindsay Mendez it's just you're like, I can't tell you how exciting it is, and Jonathan Groff, to work with him again. It's exciting. But the other one is Harmony.
Yes.
Barry Manilow was my first musical director in an off-Broadway show, which was The Drunkard, and he wrote all the incidental music. He became my musical director, created my first act, which went into the living room and downstairs at the upstairs. And now here is his musical on Broadway, and I get to be one of the co-producers. There's a lot of us. I'm not taking any major credit, but I get to be one of the co-producers on Harmony. And just to be there for Barry and with Barry, it's a joy. And I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't not be on it. I love it. I think it's incredible. And I think that it's going to be a big hit. It's important. It's a wonderful story and a true story.
Yes.
And, with what's happening in the world today, I think it's even more important.
Yeah.
Just like Parade was last year.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, Jamie, it's been a pleasure to have you here today. And we could go on for, forever, but we want to just remind everybody, because I've known Jamie a long time, and I know she's a wealth of knowledge and information, and been so helpful to myself personally as well. So let's look again. Birdland. The date of that show is coming up. It's Monday, October 23rd. Jamie, I will see you there at the show. Marilyn Lester is coming with me. She's writing a review. I said, she needs a review? Yeah, why not? We'll give her another review. Jamie deRoy has been reviewed probably by more times than anybody else in this business. So, and the names of the guests again, I'm going to read them off real quick for you, Jamie. So we got Tony Danza, there's a hit. Nikki M. James, Daisy Joplin, Nicholas King and Seth Sykes. They are the hottest duo right now in the business. Nicholas came through Iridium. We had him with Therese Ginecco, and he's now hooked up with Seth Sykes. They really are incredible. And Stephen Scott, who I guess we're lucky enough to have him on a little bit of a break here in New York, so he can make it into your show. So we're looking forward to it, Jamie, and really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I thank you very much for having me today.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.